All right, welcome to Drinks and Discourse. My name is Carl, and it is great to be back. It's been 4 years, I think. Now, 3 years. I was just telling our guests that my last episode was about February 20th, 2020, before everything went to heck. So I'm excited to be back. And my first guest for season 2 is DJ of RiverBluff Collective out of East Dubuque.
You bet.
Thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me, Carl.
So real quick, this is not gonna be real quick, but introduce yourself, explain to people who you are and what RiverBluff is all about.
Sure, I appreciate you having us. My name, like you said, my name is DJ. I own a cannabis company with my brother Allie, my sister Allie, my brother Joe, and our partner Josh. We started it back in 2019, right in the thickness of COVID and the restrictions and things like that. So we've kind of built a little bit of a company that's kind of morphed into a lot of different things.
Right.
We're selling drugs in some people's minds, so we don't necessarily get out there and market it a ton of different ways until we understand what the laws say and how we can do that in an appropriate way. We've basically built our CBD company into a legal cannabis company in Illinois. We have a dispensary in the Schaumburg area in the suburbs, and then we have a cultivation center that we're launching in Rockford, Illinois. So we have a pretty big operations, and when it comes to like the competitiveness of getting those licenses, there's only 20 people in the entire state that can acquire those licenses. So we have a pretty valuable asset. The state of Illinois looks at us as leaders in the cannabis space, and we've kind of taken that business and morphed it into going into Iowa, into Wisconsin, and Minnesota. As states become legal, it gives us an opportunity to kind of get out there and talk about it and connect with different business owners and help people understand what the laws say and what they don't say. Yeah,
it's definitely got to be a challenge. Well, first of all, we sell drugs too, right? Yeah. Alcohol is a drug, so we do the same thing. It's just ours has been legal for a lot longer, you know. Definitely. But it's got to be challenging because I know even with us, with the different brew laws and depending on how many gallons you make and all this other stuff, like I don't even understand. I let that Adam and Keith handle all that, but it's got to be difficult to understand each state law and what you can and cannot do. And I mean, obviously it's worth it, right, to understand and do it. But do you find it difficult sometimes to know what's going on?
Well, that's just it. It's incredibly difficult, especially having a lot of friends that are in the cannabis space in the black market. We understand how it's a medicine. It's something that helps people.
Sure.
It's not something that's necessarily like a heroin or cocaine or anything crazy. It's made from a plant. It's produced by and people that know what they're doing in scientific labs, and there's a lot of restrictions to that, but absolutely the nuances of every state is different. Iowa, the laws are formed in one way. Wisconsin, the laws are formed in that different way, and then in Illinois, it's super restrictive, and they don't allow many of these types of products in there at all. So it takes a team to really understand that if we're going to go out and market this and talk to business owners, then hey, we know what we're talking about, and we can go that direction.
Yep. It's definitely like, I'm a liquor guy. So like cocktails and liquor are my jam, and every state has different liquor laws. And it's like, people don't even understand that each state is different from other, because at the end of the day, I think with the laws, they're almost like the individual countries, and like we just happen to border each other. And it's crazy just with liquor. But so we're going to get more into what THC, CBD, the business side of things are. But since this is called Drinks and Discourse, we're going to drink while we discourse. And today we made the Mary Jane Mule. So this is a drink I came up with. And if people don't know me, I have a background in making cocktails. I'm bougie. I'm a bougie alcoholic. I love making fancy drinks. I'm actually Iowa's top mixologist right now, and I've been voted that 3 times in the past 10 years.
Congratulations.
So thank you. When Keith was telling me to do that, I'm like, oh. And they went to me directly like, can you make a couple? And it has nothing to do with other bartenders here. It's just, this is kind of what I do, and it's going to be fun. And obviously other bartenders will make other drinks once we go down the pro. But anyways, I'm rambling. This is called the Mary Jane Mule. Thanks to Jeremy Hall for coming up with the name. I suck at making names, but we got a lavender lemon juice, strawberry syrup, cranberry juice, a 1/4 ounce of the CBD simple syrup, and then topped off with non-alcoholic ginger beer, and then rosemary as a garnish.
Absolutely.
So cheers, bud. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's delicious.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's light, refreshing. It's a little sweet, a little tart. What's actually interesting, I think we might go dive into this a little deeper, but at least in the state of Iowa, we cannot mix CBD with alcoholic things. So we can't make like a bourbon old fashioned, add some of this legally in here. You know, at home you do whatever you want, but here legally we can only have non-alcoholic drinks with this in it. So, you know, if you definitely want to come check it out, we have 2 available right now, and shameless plug. But anyway, so all right. So, what kind of got you started into wanting to create a THC CBD business?
That's a great question. My background in cannabis, I didn't smoke much in high school, here and there, you know, very irregularly.
Right.
But I after my high school days, I grew up in East Dubuque, right across the river, and I went in the military for about 6 years.
Okay.
Spent a couple years over in Iraq. I had some different difficult situations that I had to deal with, unfortunately, and I came back, and the Veterans Affairs, the VA, suggested that I try some different medicines to help with, you know, my anxiety, my depression, things that aren't necessarily geared only towards, you know, military personnel, but, you know, a lot of people deal with a lot of mental health issues. So,
absolutely,
you know, kind of going down that route of how I get treated and how I just, you know, maintain my lifestyle that I really enjoy. They suggested cannabis because I didn't want to get into the narcotics and the different things like that. And my brother and sister both lived out in the Denver, Colorado area for about the last 10 years. So I got a chance to, again, I'd go out there 3 or 4 times a year. I'd fly out and tried an edible for the first time out there. And it was fantastic. It changed my life. And then kind of seeing how that business came about. My previous history, I was a commercial banker for a local bank. So I kind of talked to a lot of different business owners and understood, you're trying to understand, you know, how to create opportunity and create economies of scale. And, you know, in the last 10 years, we really understood cannabis as our family's path forward and trying to do something independently. And, you know, again, seeing the customers that try our products, it reinvigorates me every couple of days to really get back out there and keep working hard at moving it.
That's awesome. So when was the Denver, when you ate your first edible, that kind of gets you into that, like, oh, this is more than just smoking weed back with a couple of friends in the car?
For sure. Like 2014, 2015, about that time frame.
So pretty recent. I mean, like within the past 10 years.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
You know, that's awesome. Like, I mean, I'm in kind of the same boat. Like in high school, I think that's all I really did was smoke weed. I didn't really drink, but it's funny. Like you said, you barely smoked weed. I barely drank. Now we're like, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking?
41.
Okay. I just turned 43. So we're the same age. It's like, oh, fast forward 18, 20 years. Now we're doing things that we didn't normally do. And we both love our jobs.
I used to work at Family Beer and Liquor Store, and I think I drank half as much as I sold.
Right.
So, you know, and I probably bought just as much as I sold there.
Right.
So I loved alcohol, and, you know, the older I got, the hangovers lasted longer.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in a space where I felt like I was productive.
Yeah.
So I needed to kind of figure out, you know, a different avenue of self-medicating in a healthy way.
Yeah. I mean, alcohol, obviously there's a lot of downfalls. Like I've been going through like a lot of mental stuff myself, and I've been trying to reduce how much I'm drinking, because obviously alcohol is a depressant and you can't keep drinking it all the day. I mean, I don't drink all day, but you know, it's like you said, the older we get, it gets a little harder every day to wake up a little bit sprucey, you know?
For sure.
So when did you kind of start thinking that you wanted to create RiverBluff, you know, as a business idea, you know?
Yeah. Back in 2018, everyone kind of says the cannabis industry, the time flies like dog years. So the amount of restrictions, regulations, and pivots that we have to do on a weekly basis, it's exhausting in a lot of ways. But in 2018, I worked at a bank, and COVID was kind of coming around the corner a little bit, and understanding, really understanding. That's a great question. I mean, we want to do it for a long time. Right.
It was kind of marinating, and then eventually you're like, let's just do it.
Yeah, we've been saving our life savings to try to do something.
Sure.
And this was the path. And again, I kind of called my brother and sisters and brought our whole family together to say, this is my path forward. I'd like to have you guys come and be a part of this. And everyone kind of agreed. And we split the company up evenly and kind of figured out the roles. And
that's
awesome.
Where
we're at.
No, that's awesome. You know, it's cool that you first asked your family, because it's your family that kind of really reintroduced you into this world, right? Yeah. And so to bring them along, and were they like on board right away, or were there some like not hesitation, but like thought? Because I mean, it is risky definitely. Starting a business, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, with my brother and my sister that lived in Colorado, you know, immediately they wanted to jump on board, and they wanted to because again, they've seen the market, they've seen the opportunities, and they're hard workers. So I think kind of just knowing what it would take, and, you know, not really having any idea what it would take, but the understanding of what it may take.
Right.
You know, every day they work their asses off, and Great business partners for sure.
Did they move back to Iowa or East Dubuque, Illinois?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, back in 2019, my brother Joe moved home.
Right.
He lived in my basement. There
you go.
I worked a 40-hour job at the bank. After that, I'd go out and sell drugs.
Right.
Sell cannabis products, and that was a difficult path to navigate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I had customers that had multi-million-dollar businesses that I was their banker. I'd run into them at the grocery store, and I needed to make sure I talked to them, had conversations about, hey, this is what my path forward is. And it was kind of ironic. A lot of them smoked weed with me.
Sure.
And it was just, it's such a common thing nowadays that it's not this big scary drug.
Yeah. So I used to work at the Hotel Julian at the Riverboat Lounge, and, people would come in from all shapes and sizes, from, middle class to probably millions of dollars. And a lot of them would just, and these guys and women that made a lot of money, they would just talk about, I'm just going to go for a walk, eat an edible, and go back to bed, and they're like, and people don't understand, like, it's like high stress, a lot of things going on mental, like it just helps take care of all that,
Absolutely.
What are, what are some of the roadblocks when you kind of like first initiated the idea? I know you kind of tabbed on, the changing laws all the time, and obviously then COVID, but is there any other like big roadblocks you guys had to overcome to figure this out?
Tons of them. I mean, we still see them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
We had our point of sale service company in the basement, the credit card machines.
Yep. They
canceled our service right away. Or no, excuse me. They let us use it for Square. And I'm not afraid to say who it is.
Right.
They screwed us over. So we did a large amount of volume every month with those guys, and they charged us 4% transaction fees. And after about a year and a half, they said, hey, we're not going to service your business anymore because you're in cannabis. We were a test program of the cannabis program for them. So, we were very upfront about everything.
Yeah.
Like those types of scenarios, COVID certainly had a big impact.
Absolutely.
Legislation changes happen on a regular basis. We had products up in Wisconsin that weren't necessarily to the state's codes, and we didn't realize that. We thought we were following them, but again, sometimes when we reach out to governing bodies, it's just delays. And for us, we had the sheriff department call us and say, hey, we have $40,000 worth of your products that we have to take off your shelves. And it's like, okay, we just lost that.
Right.
And we don't have insurance. I can't go to a bank and get loans and credit lines and things like that. So it's incredibly difficult to start this business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just with any new, it's scary, I guess, not scary, but it's hard for other businesses to back something that is not, there's no leader. You're the leader, right, in this area for this type of business, it seems like, so I kind of understand where they're coming from, but obviously it's got to be super frustrating on your side because you're like, what the hell? I know what I'm doing, or we think we know what we're doing, and everyone else gets a chance. Why can't I get a chance? It's just like opening a bar. Banks don't give you money to open a bar. They're like, nope, tough shit.
Exactly.
So
it's easy for them to say, well, it's not federally legal.
Right.
We're not going to participate in it.
Sure.
And what happens is there's groups like Keith and Adam here at Seven Hills that understand, hey, this is the law. The law says we can do it. Our credit card companies, everybody else says that we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try to do it. And once they realize that there's good footing and opportunities are endless.
Yeah. So hopefully next year, 5 years, things are just a little easier. It's never going to be completely easy, right?
Definitely.
Okay. So I kind of want to do this as a 101 for people to understand more about CBD, THC. I mean, we're all used to smoking marijuana. What was the 1940s film that made fun of
Reefer Madness?
Reefer Madness. Yeah. I think we all watched it. If not, go watch it on YouTube. I bet it's on there. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, But obviously we're in a time where, like you said, things are manufactured. It's science now. It's more controlled areas of growing and harvesting. Or I guess I'm rambling. I'll let you explain. But I guess what is the biggest difference between THC and CBD for people that might not understand what the difference is?
I think very simply, CBD does not get you high to a point where it affects your mood. It affects your ability to drive vehicles. It's non-psychoactive. It's the easiest way to describe it.
Right. Gotcha. Because I know I've taken like CBD stuff for like nighttime, where I think you guys do a blend of basically that and melatonin, I think is basically what it is, to help me sleep. Because there's some days I'll just sit in bed for like 4 hours. Like, this is stupid. But okay, right on. So like THC is like the stuff that people either smoke or get high. It was the get high portion of it, right? Yeah. I guess besides that, what are some of the main misconceptions that people have between THC, CBD, and everything?
That's a great question. I mean, from the standpoint of the different products, there's THC Delta 9, and that's what's traditionally found in dispensaries That's what everyone says is real weed.
Right.
We sell that in Chicago. We sell a lot of it in Chicago.
Mhm.
We produce it. We're going to be producing it in Rockford. In addition to that, there's hemp derived D8, D9.
Okay.
That's what we're actually drinking right now. So like the CBD product, this isn't CBD necessarily. This is more hemp based Delta 9
Okay.
THC. This will get you high.
Okay.
So this is going to have a euphoric effect. That's going to get you, it's going to get you high. That's another
Right.
way to say it.
Yeah.
And legally speaking, like Iowa passed, they passed a law back when the Farm Bill came out, but we got a lot more clarity now that people in Iowa, even though they can't necessarily go to a dispensary and buy products, they can go to a number of different stores and bars and other areas and buy cannabis products that will get you absolutely high.
Right.
And that's kind of the big difference that we have is trying to, there's a brewery in Des Moines that we sell products to currently. And I think the Des Moines Register came out with an article a few weeks ago and a lot of the comments on Facebook was, this is fake weed. This isn't going to get you high. And there's probably 50 of those comments. And they're absolutely wrong.
Right.
There's no way to say it. Like this will get you high. You can't drive a vehicle with these after drinking this. Like it's
what brewery is it? It's fun to say because I mean,
Bellhop.
Bellhop.
Yeah,
that's a
tiki bar.
Tiki bar. Yes.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job.
Yep, I've been there several times. They do great stuff. So it's got kind of Miami Vice kind of like party scene to it, So it's definitely a spot if you're going out with a bunch of friends and you want to go have a party. That's a great spot to go to. Me and my wife been there several times. So I remember when my first post about this, like when I took the picture of the 2 drinks and posted about it, some guy, I just remember saying like, it's not legal in Iowa or something like that. And my response was, if it wasn't legal, I wouldn't be selling it. Like, I am not going to, and he doesn't know me, but like, I just responded to Seven Hills, like, I'm not going to put anything in jeopardy for this brewery to lose any licenses at all, And,
Exactly.
But I don't know how he meant it. Did he, is he questioning it? That's probably really how it is because you don't know tone and, whatever. But, and that's why we're doing this is to educate people. Like it's legal. It's just not like as legal as Illinois where there's dispensaries I can go buy flour and stuff like that. So
they're still coming up the laws. It takes time for governmental bodies to understand, is this safe? If it is safe, how do we monetize it? How do we create a product and a process, that we can sell and aren't going to have terrible effects because of it.
Yep. And I guess I kind of should have said this earlier when we talked about this drink is that this only has 5 milligrams in it. And we're only putting 5 milligrams in the drinks themselves because, again, like you said, it will get you high. It will affect your driving abilities and stuff like that. So it's just like over serving someone too much beer. Like we still have what's the right word I'm looking for? We still have to provide our guests with a safe experience when they come here to the brewery. Now, I know, like, for instance, Dimensional, they sell cans of I think 2.5, 5, and 10, but you cannot drink the 10s there on location. So, again, they're being proactive about keeping their customers safe. And that's what we all try to do. Because at the end of the day, we want you coming back, Like,
we see cannabis very similar to alcohol. There's CBD that's like NA beer.
Yeah.
I mean, across the board, there are low milligram dosages like wine coolers. Mm-hmm. There's higher milligram dosages, more like alcohol, like vodka, rum, whiskey, those types of concoctions. It's a big market, and as this thing continues to get built out, there's a consumer for everything that we make.
Yep, it's just like with anything, you're just gonna find maybe you might have to like experiment, try a couple different things, and see what works for you, and then just like anything, evolve. Because I've been involved in my liquor taste since 12 years ago, so it's definitely a growing market for sure. What are some of the benefits of THC and CBD that people might not even understand that they're out for? I know you kind of touched on with like your mental health and a couple other things. Is there obviously there's more to it than just that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly with anxiety, depression, a lot of those types of mental limitations or situations that people deal with, a lot of cannabis products kind of work towards those types of things. People that have arthritis, we make lotions, creams that it doesn't get them high necessarily, but it absolutely helps provide relief.
Sure.
We have gummies and different types of products and SKUs that we sell. Again, we truly see it as a medicine,
right?
And we're proud of the things that we make, and they're not necessarily patients, but there's medical dispensaries in Illinois that there's patients that have specific conditions. People that have back problems, people that have rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, they come to me and say, DJ, your products help me sleep at night. And it's rewarding for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, like with mine, it's like, oh, these drinks were great. And the next morning, like, oh, I was so hungover. Like, well, you shouldn't have that. But, like at least with yours, there is, that's what always confused me. Even like growing up, I'm like, why is weed not legal, But alcohol and like cigarettes are things that actually like destroy your body, you know? Because I always remember growing up, one of the biggest things was cancer patients. They don't like to eat, and smoking weed got their appetites back so they can eat and feel better and, you know, help with the process of, you know, dealing with that. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. And, you know, I think, yeah, it's just interesting what it does and why it hasn't been like that. But that's government talk. We don't want to go down that road.
I mean, look, follow the money.
Right.
You know, who owns the licenses, who's allowing competition and everything else.
Yep. So we already kind of talked about what the difference between Delta 8 and Delta 9 is, right? No, we talked about what THC and CBD differences. What are the differences, I guess, then between Delta 8 and Delta 9?
That's a great question. And maybe I can even back up a step. So like when we launched our company back in 2018, we were only allowed to sell CBD products. So when we kind of launched, we came out and said, hey, these products are not going to get you high. This is like a non-alcoholic drink. Yeah. Very similar to that direction. You know, once we had our attorneys look at the laws and say, hey, there's loopholes. There's another way to say it. There's loopholes in the law, and we're taking advantage of them by providing questions and resources to the states to say, help us navigate this in a professional manner, in a legal manner. Right. And, you know, so we identified Delta 8 as a product very, very similar to Delta 9. And again, Delta 9 THC is what everyone says is in dispensaries. Right. Delta 8, when you look at a cannabis plant, when it's grown out in the field or inside of a building, it's grown the exact same way. A hemp plant is a marijuana plant, is a cannabis plant. It's all one plant. Right. The big question, we're burping when you're drinking right. They're all, again, it's one plant growing. The differentiating factor between when it's CBD versus cannabis Delta 9, it's when that plant there's a flower on the outside of it. That's what you smoke. That's what you infuse. That's what you consume to get you high and provide medicine. Once that basically gets tested and the numbers go over a certain threshold, then it's considered cannabis Delta 9. We understand if we process it at a certain point where it's not cannabis, but we extract it and we make edibles and we make drinks and things like that, we can get the exact same formulation or exact same high that you would as if you let it grow out another 30 days. Right. So it's, you know, the science is ahead of the game on that regard. And I think a lot of people have kind of caught up to that. You know, there's flour that we're selling right now that's called THCA flour. Again, it's some kind of a loophole in the law, but they're allowing us to sell it. So, you know, we're selling big volumes of that right now. It's the exact same products that we're selling in the dispensary in Chicago that we had to pay so much money for security guards and cameras and, you know, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars to build this building to sell the same thing. And now we're selling over in Subway. It doesn't make any sense. I have, you know, 3 staff members manage that facility versus in Chicago, I have 26. Right. It's like, you know, we went to a couple of dispensaries in Chicago, you know, and then in Phoenix and stuff like that. And it is, I mean, it's a lot more, like you said, people, security guards, a lot more like tied down and that. Yeah. You go to East Dubuque, it's an old Subway building. You walk in there and it's just one person there, you know, on a Sunday afternoon, just say, hey, what's up? You know, and that's the way it should be. Right. It should be, you know, but I mean, obviously there's a lot of money and just cash and just the product itself is worth a lot of money. And unfortunately, people are assholes and want to steal and do dumb shit, you know? So it's like, we've been wanting this for years and years. Now you guys are fucking it over, you know? So most definitely. But, okay. Besides Delta 8, Delta 9, are there like other classifications? Yeah, there's a few hundred. Inside of the cannabis plant, there's a couple hundred different cannabinoids. CBD, CBN, CBG, THCO, THCV. No, we got, honestly, there's a number of different medicines in the plant. And as science is kind of looking into it, and again, this hasn't been looked into for years and years and years. Yeah. Israel as a country, again, obviously they're in a situation right now, but before that, they were one of the leading countries in the world digging into cannabis as a medicinal benefits. And they're doing a great job with it. I would have thought like Amsterdam or something would be like the leading, like, you know, research science of it, but I would have never guessed Israel. That's interesting. Absolutely. That's awesome. I think we kind of glance over, we hit some of these points, but if there's different ways, what are some of the different ways people consume these products? Obviously we talk about edibles, we're drinking it, you know, I mean, seems like it's just growing in what way people can fantasize how they want to distribute it. It's unbelievable. Last week I was out in Las Vegas for MJ BizCon. It's a big conference out there, and probably 50 to 60,000 people kind of come through that facility. Yeah. And they have the breath strips. Oh, really? Like people are getting high from that. They have patches that people put on, epidurals. smoking, obviously, drinking, lotions, topicals, just anything you can think of. It's like an ingredient.
Right.
If you can ingest it, we can figure out how to do
That's awesome. Like, let's talk about that. And since we're on the like how people consume it, then you guys have a specific team that is like creating the products, the edibles and all this. Like, I mean, obviously like I like the creative side of things. That's why I like making cocktails. I like the science and learning and doing it. Unfortunately, I have to do both sides, bartending and that, which I both love. But like for you guys, you have your own team, or is it like you and your family doing all of this? That's
a great question. So Josh McGinnis, he's a local kid here from Dubuque. Graduated from Hempstead back when I did in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he spent, the last 25 years in Colorado and California in the cannabis market, like understanding the nuances, the industry, on a professional standpoint. He's on the team as one of the owners, and he helped create most of our recipes for our caramels, our chocolates, all of our gummies. We're constantly reaching out to food scientists. We get all of our products third-party tested, so everything kind of gets sent out when we do big batches to make sure that the right amount of weed is in there.
Right.
And we also test for, like no microbials, no kind of any kind of issues, any kind of contaminants. We make sure all that stuff is good to go before we sell it out to our customers. We work with a bunch of different. The way our company kind of started is we made everything ourselves. We scaled that business to where we had about 30 employees in East Dubuque kind of producing all of our products. We needed to grow bigger. I mean, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. So we actually started finding some co-packers in other parts of the country, in the Midwest, that are making products that are very similar to ours. That they can just make them for us. And then we take our current employees, put them in other roles, get elevated roles and more promotions, and really build the company out the way we need it to be.
That's awesome. I mean, it's just like when you watch like on Shark Tank with this product, when they're trying to get their food out and they're trying to find co-packers and stuff like that. I mean, it seems like it's very similar in theory, right?
It's
to all
the
that
exact
stuff.
same thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Talking about that, we're working with Adam and Keith, trying to manufacture a cannabis infused sour beer.
Right.
That, you don't have the beer in it and just have cannabis in it. And we're really close to doing that. We're going to be launching that here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I'm excited about that because like you said, in Iowa, it's still like a lot of gray in the laws. It's just like, it's basic, but it's also like, well, it doesn't say we can't do this. Here's what it says it can do. How can we make it work for us?
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone else about this. Like, I think we're going to be first in market in Iowa that's actually going to produce some sort of to-go beverage, and it's going to help everyone else get on board, but it's also going to help. We're going to be the front runners in the leading of helping maybe with the laws and what people are understanding and showing what we can do. And I think that's excited. I know Adam's super excited about it. I know Keith is he's been adamant about, CBD and THC for many years now and stuff like that. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait till we have that out. So that's really about all we can say about that because we don't know anything else like pricing or anything else like that. That's what they're still working on. So you guys just had a nice long meeting about, not long, but you guys just had a meeting about that. So
taste testing a little bit. And make sure we're aligned.
Unfortunately, someone's got to do it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we talked about that. Okay, so with the laws, we kind of explained that they're different each state. Legally, what is it for people to cross state lines? Because obviously, Iowa's laws are a little bit more stricter than Illinois. So, I mean, like...
Yep. So basically, most of the products that we produce right now are compliant in Iowa.
Okay.
There's a handful that we sell in Illinois that are not. So all of our flower that you consider cannabis, like people would see that they smoke out of a joint or a blunt or a bong or something like that, they're not allowed to buy or even carry in Iowa. So the way that Iowa's laws were written, more drinks, edibles, and topicals.
Right.
Nothing ingested to where you're smoking. It's kind of the rule of thumb.
Yeah, I mean, and I could be wrong because I've been out of the weed business or smoking business for a long time, but it just seems like that's probably more the trend of what people are going to go to anyways, right? Instead of rolling this big blunt, sharing it with like 5 people, I can just eat one little gummy bear and and
depends. In our dispensary, we see about 20% of our customers having edibles and another maybe 15% for concentrates like vapes, dabs and things like that. So still 60% to 70% is flower.
Oh, really?
So people still love the weed.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, just whatever. Yeah. If you know, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. But you're right though. I mean, the concept of smoking a blunt or a joint with an attorney or a judge, which I do regularly, they would much prefer an edible that they can take, that their kids aren't seeing it, that they don't have to explain to their spouse why, and everything else.
For sure. What are So you already explained what you guys make in house. Well, it's all site facility that makes it, but you guys create it and then you take it to your co-packer and they make it, correct?
For about 70% of the products that we do that.
Okay.
We still manufacture our main staples, our caramels, our chocolate bars, our gummies, and then lemonades and simple syrups, which is infused right here. That's what we're infusing that. We do that internally. So it's a smaller team. We have big enough equipment that we can do that at scale. But some of these more specific products that just takes time and energy, just have other people help us do that.
Right. Work smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And then for people wanting to explore this world that might, like, okay, this seems like a good idea, or something I want to try. What are your first guidelines or, that you have for people who are consuming for the first time, and milligrams and all that other stuff?
A good rule of thumb is start slow and go low. Go low and start slow.
Right.
If that makes sense. But
Right.
Small milligrams, so like under 5 milligrams per serving is probably appropriate.
Yeah.
Edibles is an easy way to kind of start it. And the good thing too, in the past, if somebody got too high, they had to ride that trip out, right? They had to ride it out. Now, again, with research, CBD actually counterbalances a little bit. So if you're too high, you can take a dose of CBD, either an oil or a gummy or something along those lines, and that'll help regulate and bring you back to normal a little bit faster.
Right.
Like where alcohol, you don't really have it's
time. Time. Alcohol is time. Everyone says drink water, drink coffee. No, it's you literally just have to wait. Like there's nothing to like. Maybe that's something we should all work on. Is can we counterbalance alcohol? So like I'm a little too drunk. I need to get below that 0.08 so I can go home or whatever.
Definitely.
But that's funny. Let's see. Mixing with liquor. Okay. Do you suggest if you're at home, safe place, you're not going to go out?
Yeah.
Like, do you even suggest people mixing it with liquor and beer, or do you kind of think they should keep it separate, or is it kind of just?
I mean, the law is asked to keep it somewhat separated.
Right.
DRAM insurance, things like that I don't think insurance companies have a real good answer for either too. So we recommend keeping it separated until you understand. And again, you're an adult. If you're at your house and you want to try to add it to a cocktail, feel free to, but have some support there and make sure that people are there to kind of keep an eye on you.
I know this is many years ago before COVID. We were in Chicago. We went to, I think, the original Kuma's Corner location, because I know there's one in Schaumburg, but we went to like the original. My wife got a CBD like shot added to her beer, so I don't know what exactly it was and what the laws were at the time, but I just remember doing that. And about after 10 minutes, I go, how you feel? She goes, I just feel relaxed. Yeah. Like, she goes, I don't feel high, or I'm like, I just feel like my nerves are a little like 20% less than what they were or whatever,
CBD absolutely does that. CBD, again, we're not looking at like the prescriptions where it's like, again, I don't get into too much of that. But we're looking for more alternatives to help people just get to normalcy in their own space, what they feel comfortable with.
Right.
And that's the beauty of the product for sure.
That's awesome. So like I mentioned, like you, Adam and Keith, we're all looking at doing this project with like a canned THC product. Yeah. I guess what made you kind of want to work with Seven Hills on this? I guess who to approach to about this idea?
Yeah, I mean, Seven Hills is a fantastic business here in Dubuque. We come down here regularly, and I'm a sour fan. Like, I'm not a big beer drinker, but if I do, I prefer sours.
I love sours too.
Yeah. So, I think Blocktoberfest, we were out here this year, and we were after the event, we kind of came in and saw Keith and said hi, and we just kind of started throwing the ideas around together. And it hasn't been long. I mean, within the last 60 to 90 days, we've kind of come to some really good ideas, and we're going to try to get into market within the next 30 days.
That's awesome. I know, like, they mentioned to me that they were starting this idea, and we have to apply for a license basically to sell THC in our business. And I think it was approved like in 3 weeks, or it was approved very fast, and we got it. And we're like, cool. Well, I think we're the third place that are making our own drinks. That could be, I don't know. Because I think I read that same article where they said Bellhop is the second.
Yep.
We might be the third. There might be other places out there, but no, that's awesome. Again, I'm one of those people, I believe high tide raises all ships. So I think the more people that are doing it, it's better for everyone, because again, it's getting word out there, spreading what it is all about, and people are understanding. Because like, it's not really peer pressure, but if you see more people doing it, you see it a lot more, you're like, okay, maybe I should try it.
Absolutely.
Like a husband and wife might just go home, split a gummy, see what it does, pass out on the couch, and then you'll wake up or whatever, so.
It's fantastic. Good. I mean, we love it. I mean, generally speaking, the customers that come to me, the friends that I have that just constantly talk about it, and never in a million years would I think that it's eat edibles or smoke cannabis, but it's they're much more open to it now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, DJ, is there anything else that you want to plug or anything before we get out of here today?
Yeah, honestly, we just opened a bar up in East Dubuque called 231, little coffee shop. We're going to be getting Seven Hills. Once we get our keg lines in there installed, we've been open for a couple months. We'll have their taps over there. We have a coffee shop over there as well. We have a Dab Lab consumption lounge up in Platteville, Wisconsin.
Yep.
So again, we have the hemp derived cannabis products that, again, people go up there, take dabs, get high, smoke a bong, drink. We have slushies up there.
And they can do that at that place?
Sit there, hang out, and relax.
Because I was bartending at the bistro that we had opened up, and I would, get off work at 10 o'clock or whatever and drive past. And I saw it. I'm just like, one of these days, but also like, I got to drive 24 minutes, so like, I'm like, whatever. But I know we went in and bought some of the CBD melatonin ones the other day. I introduced myself to the woman that was working there, and she's like, are you guys going to bring your drinks up to north? And I go, I don't know what the laws are, but she's like, well, we got the Dab Lab up there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's way more like hardcore, like compared to this little drink, right? And I mean that in the most respectful way possible, and stuff. So I think, again, as long as we can match whatever the laws say, we want to have this at every location we have, because it's just another offering for someone that might be interested in it.
That's exactly it. We're seeing alcohol sales dropping. We're seeing markets kind of stagnating as we give this product to our wholesale partners, our retailers. They're reordering very quickly and regularly. That it's helping drive the growth in some of these companies that we're working with.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your success, and hopefully maybe once we get some other products and down the road, we can do like an update and give people update what's going on and educate them a little bit more, because there's, like you said, you are learning a lot about the laws. I think people are learning more about what it can do for them, So
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, cheers, bud. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks guys for checking this out. I have no idea who my next guest will be. If you have a recommendation, I have some ideas, but just leave a comment below, and we'll see you guys next time.